What's going on, everybody? Cleopas Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, I'm going to be giving you some tips and tricks for the Samsung Galaxy A14 5G that you might not know about. Now, as always, if you do end up wanting to learn more about this phone, definitely check out the description, where I will be linking to several other videos about it, as well as some information about pricing, availability, and some of my favorite smartphone accessories. But with that being said, let's get right into it. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to show or hide the battery percentage on the status bar. Now, as you can see by default, the battery percentage is going to be up here, which in one sense is a good thing, since of course it does give you a better idea of where you're at battery wise, because after all, the icon really doesn't tell you a whole lot. But that being said, some people might want the status bar to look a little bit more minimalistic, and if that's you, let me show you how to get rid of it. So what you're going to want to do is go to settings. From here, go to notifications. Then from here, go to advanced settings. And as you can see up here under status bar, battery percentage again by default is going to be on, but if you toggle it off, as you can see, it's no longer there, and the status bar does look a little bit cleaner. Now another thing I do want to point out here is that if you go like this, the battery percentage is always going to be here no matter what. So honestly, if you want the best of both worlds, if you want the status bar to look a bit cleaner, but you also want to know your battery charge, then you can just leave it off like this and just swipe down whenever you want, and it's really not going to make that much of a difference. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to disable your Google feed. Now, in case you don't know what it is, the Google feed is basically this right here, just a big news feed of a bunch of random stuff. And I don't know about you, but I personally never use this. All I ever do with it is accidentally scroll onto it. So if you're like me and you want to get rid of it, what you're going to do is press and hold your finger on any blank spot on the home screen, so like this. From here, go to where it says settings. And then from here, as you can see right here, by default, add media page to home screen is going to be on, but if you want to get rid of it, simply toggle it off. And now if you go back to the home screen, the Google feed is no longer going to show up. So I'm definitely glad we do get that option. Now another interesting thing I did notice here is that if you tap on the banner instead, it actually does give you the option to use a different feed. I'm assuming you do have to log into your Samsung account for this, which I personally didn't. But if you do want to use a Samsung feed instead, it looks like you actually can, which I didn't know before this. So definitely cool that we do have some options here. Now I'm going to show you how to get to your NFC settings. Now NFC is already on by default, and once you have Google Pay set up, you're probably not going to have to mess with this a whole lot. But in case you ever do, what you're going to do is go to settings. From here, go to connections. Then from here, go to NFC and contactless payments. As you can see again, by default, NFC is going to be on, but if you want, you can always toggle it off. And in addition to this, if you go to contactless payments, as you can see, you can change your default payment service. So it is usually going to be Google Pay, but if you want to use like Amex Pay or something, you always can. Now another thing I do want to point out is if you want a quick way to toggle NFC on or off, which I personally never do, technically I guess it could drain your battery if you have it on all the time, but in my experience in every phone I've ever had that has NFC, I've never noticed it do that. But all the same, if you do ever want a really quick, convenient way to turn NFC on or off, what you can do is pull down the shade like this. One more time. From here, go to the plus icon. And as you can see, NFC is right here. So what you're going to want to do is press and hold, drag it down. From here, hit done. And now basically whenever it's highlighted, that means NFC is on. And if you tap the icon, it's off. So now, if you ever want to toggle NFC on or off, all you have to do is pull down the shade, and it's going to be right there. The next thing I'm going to show you is a quick way to open your camera or whatever other app you might want to use. So by default, no matter what you're doing on your phone, whether you're on your home screen, an app, whatever the case may be, if you want to quickly open your camera, all you have to do is double press the power key like this, and it's going to open right up. So definitely a cool feature. We're going to try that one more time, this time on an app. So there we go. And one more time with the display locked. And there we go. So as you can see, definitely a useful shortcut. But in addition to the camera, you can also have it open pretty much any other app. To do this, what you're going to do is go to settings. From here, go to advanced features. From here, go to side key. And again, as you can see, by default, it is going to open the camera, but you can also have it open pretty much any other app you want. So we're going to go here, hit the gear icon. And now as you can see, it's pretty much all the apps on the phone. So for example, let's go to Samsung Notes. So now if I double press the power key, it's going to open Samsung Notes instead. But keep in mind, if you have it set to open an app, it's not going to work with the display locked. I mean, it technically will, but unlike the camera, it's not going to go right to it. You will still have to unlock it. Now I'm going to show you a feature called one-handed mode. As you can probably tell by the name, this feature basically makes it a lot easier to use the phone with one hand. And since this phone does have a decently large display, it's definitely a nice thing to have. So one-handed mode is not enabled by default. So what you're going to want to do is go to settings. Then from here, go to advanced features. From here, go to one-handed mode, toggle it on. And now by default, one-handed mode is activated with a gesture. And keep in mind, if you have gesture navigation, this is the only option. But the gesture is really simple. All you have to do is swipe down right above the home button like this. And there we go. We are now in one-handed mode. Depending on whatever hand you're using, you can switch sides. You can also move it up or down. So if you grab this, it's kind of tricky to do. So here we go. Then you can also resize it by grabbing the corner right here, going like that. And there we go. And to get out of one-handed mode, tap anywhere on the outside, so like this. And we're right back to normal. Now if you have button navigation, you can also activate it just by double pressing the home button. So if we go here, and double press the home button, we are back in one-handed mode. So definitely a nice feature to have, and as you can see, it makes using the phone with one hand a lot easier. Now I'm going to show you how to change the font and display size. Now with the Samsung Galaxy A14 5G, we are getting a pretty large display here, and on one hand, it's definitely nice that we can fit a lot of stuff on the screen, but on the other hand, I know for some people, certain things might be a little tricky to see. But luckily with this phone, you can actually change the font size and the actual display size too, and this is going to make things a lot easier to see. So to do this, what you're going to do is go to Settings. From here, go to Display. Then from here, the first thing we're going to do is go to Font Size and Style. So as you can see, this right here is the default. You can also make it a lot larger. Or if you want to make it a bit smaller, you can go like this. And there we go. You can also change the actual font itself. So if we go here, as you can see, there's some default options, and you can also download more. Then if we go back, you can also make it bold. So that's a lot easier to see. And in addition to the font size, you can also zoom in on the screen a bit, and this is going to make other things on the screen a bit easier to see. So if we go back in the main display menu, go to Screen Zoom. And as you can see, this is the default size. You can also make it a bit larger or a bit smaller. Now I'm going to show you a few different multitasking features and shortcuts, and these are known as labs. Now, despite Samsung saying they are more experimental, and they don't really work super well with everything, in my experience, with pretty much everything I've tried at least, they do actually work pretty well. So to get to these features, what you're going to do is go to Settings. From here, go to Advanced Features. Then from here, go to Labs. And we got a few different options. So up first, we got multi-window for all apps. So this is going to allow you to use pop-up view for pretty much everything. So in case you don't know, to get to pop-up view, what you're going to do is go to your recent apps. From here, press and hold on the app itself. Go like this. So as you can see, it says drag here for pop-up view. And now we are in pop-up view. So that's basically what this is going to do. Now, in my experience, pretty much every app has pop-up view anyway, so I don't really think this makes much of a difference. But if you do want to use pop-up view, I guess just turn it on to be safe. Now, pop-up view is pretty cool, and I feel like a lot of people might not know how to use it. So let me give you a quick tour. To move this around, go like this. So you're going to want to tap on this bar, and then yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. And then if you actually tap on it instead of holding, we got a few different options. So you can change its transparency, so go like that. As you can see, you can kind of see through it. I don't really know why you would actually want to use this, but it's cool that we do have the option. You can also get to split screen from here. So if we go like this, hit this icon right here. And now as you can see, this is split screen. Then from here, if you tap on these arrows pointing in, it's basically going to turn it into a little icon. So pretty cool. You can also close the app by going like this. And then finally, to go back to normal, hit the arrows pointing out. So there we go. Now one more thing about pop-up view I almost completely forgot to mention. You can also resize this. So if you grab a corner, then go like this. As you can see, you can make it quite a bit smaller, and you can also make it a bit larger. The next thing we got here is full screen and split screen view. So with this on, when you're in split screen, this is basically just going to hide the status bar and navigation bar. Not really a huge crazy feature or anything, but in case you've never used split screen before, which on Android 13 at least, it's a bit different. So let me show you how it works. To get to split screen, essentially what you're going to do is go to your recent apps, press and hold on the app. Instead of putting it in the middle for pop-up, drag it up like this, or you can also drop it on the bottom, whatever you want. So like that. From here, you can select your second app. So we're going to do Chrome. And now we are in split screen. And as you can see again, with this option on, the status and navigation bars are hidden, but if you want, you can also show them. In split screen, you can change the size by hitting these dots, not the bar, but these dots right here. So drag it up, down, and to get out of split screen, you can drag it all the way up or all the way down. And then finally, the bottom two are basically just shortcuts to those two features. So for pop-up, what you're going to want to do is swipe down from the corner like this. And there we go. Get back out of that. And for split screen, take 2 fingers and swipe up from the bottom like this. And there we go. So definitely some cool features, and honestly feel free to replay that whole section because that was a lot of information, and if you do have any questions about it, definitely let me know in the comments, because while it is really easy to use once you get the hang of it, if you're coming from maybe an iPhone for example that doesn't have anything like that and you're using pop-up view or split screen for the first time, it can be a little confusing. So yeah, again, if you get stuck on anything, definitely let me know. Now I'm going to show you how to change your refresh rate. Now in case you don't know, with the Samsung Galaxy A14 5G we are getting a 90Hz display, and with this higher refresh rate, the movement on the screen is going to be a bit faster and smoother, making the phone feel a little bit more premium. But despite this, while it can be nice, it can also drain the battery a bit faster, so if you want to extend your battery life, you can actually drop it down to 60Hz. To do this, go to Settings. From here, go to Display. Then from here, go to Motion Smoothness. As you can see by default, it is going to be adaptive, but if you want, you can change it to standard. And again, this is sort of going to give you longer battery life. Now honestly, in my opinion, this doesn't really make that big a difference, especially considering when you have it at adaptive, it doesn't mean it's going to be 90Hz all the time. So again, honestly, in my experience, the battery life is still just as long in adaptive mode. But if you really want the longest battery life possible, then you always can use standard instead. Now I'm going to show you a faster way to get to your notification tab. Now normally, to get to your notifications, all you have to do is swipe down like this. But with this phone, there is actually a shortcut. So to get to this, go to Settings. From here, go to Advanced Features. Then from here, go to Motions and Gestures. Then from here, go to Finger Sensor Gestures. And with this feature on, to get to your notification tab, all you have to do is swipe down on your fingerprint scanner like this. And there we go. So pretty cool feature. Not really the most useful thing in the world, but definitely a nice option to have. And finally, the last thing I'm going to show you is a feature called Dual Messenger. This basically allows you to make a copy of an app, so like Snapchat for example, so you can log into 2 accounts at once. Now in this day and age, with stuff like Instagram having multiple account options anyway, it's not nearly as useful as it once was, but it's still definitely a nice thing to know about. Now this is in the Advanced Features section, so if we go to Settings, then from here again, go to Advanced Features, then from here, Dual Messenger is right here. As you can see, these are the compatible apps I currently have, and to get a copy of one, simply toggle it on, and that's pretty much it. But this concludes my tips and tricks video for the Samsung Galaxy A14 5G. Again, if you want to learn more about this phone, definitely check out the description, where I will be linking to several other videos about it, as well as some information about pricing, availability, and some of my favorite smartphone accessories. But that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it and found it useful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to follow Kalipis Tech on Twitter and Instagram. And as always, I will see you in the next video.